Hey guys, I'm going to be installing a diesel heater. We're going to see how it runs. I'm going to be setting up my connections, and it comes with about this much of rubber hose, and you want to put the rubber hose on your connections because obviously the hose that it comes with will not go on there flush. I just thought you'd want to see the barb connector and pump 12 or 24 volts. This is the connector. It needs to be mounted on a 45-degree angle. Some people mount them flat and upside down. This will create problems because there needs to be a flow of air every time this little piston it hits. It pushes through half a drop, a really small amount, but every time it does that, it creates turbulence and pressure, which makes little air bubbles, which is completely normal. It just needs to allow the air to escape up the pump. Otherwise there will be a buildup of air inside the pump when there's no soft parts inside this. It's metal on metal, and if there is an air gap it will quickly wear out the little piston inside here, which is pushed via an electromagnet. It goes through this filter and comes out through the pump, and then it goes into this little inlet. This one is for the combustion air, and this one is the exhaust. The exhaust can't have too many bends in it, otherwise the fan is only small and it will struggle to pull air in. You can only have a maximum of 270 amount of turns. You need to make sure that there is an air filter on the end of that. Now the thing it comes with is not an air filter, that's a silencer. But tests have shown that it does nothing to silence it. In fact, it makes it noisier. But they put a little mesh in to confuse you. That mesh will do nothing to prevent bugs from getting in. Look at that. Because if you pull this thing apart, all it takes is a 2mm bug or bit of dirt in order to clog the air inlet, and then the thing won't start. There's a train going by. Make sure that the exhaust is facing away from the way in which you drive, otherwise you'll get like a backdraft. The exhaust can get up to 150 degrees here. That's why this is here. What you probably also want to use is some of this. It's rated to 205. This is what you would want to use on the floor of the van before you attach the whole thing to this plate. It's important not to create too many restrictions with this, otherwise you're going to screw up the combustion of diesel inside the motor. This is your exhaust. There are two types. This one is the through exhaust silencer. There is another one that has the in and the out over here, and it goes like this, and it actually does less of a job of silencing the exhaust, and it also creates those additional restrictions on the air. So this one's the better one to have, and even better, you buy yourself another one of these and you connect them in series. We've wired it up. It's really easy. You just clip it together. You put this one in here, which goes to the LCD screen. Wire up this one to the negative, and then this one goes through a fuse. 20 amp, and then that goes onto that one because it's a bit easier than getting onto that. Right now, it's only pulling 0 amps to run this LCD. The way you start this thing up is you got to hold these two buttons in order to prime the pump, because the pump runs and primes and lubricates off the diesel. This is obviously going to start to get hot, so maybe we'll direct that away from the fuel. We have 12 volts, we have diesel, and now I'm really excited to start this thing. Okay, we've gone into a timing setting. I'm going to read the manual. P-4. I actually didn't even know what this cable was for, and I thought, oh, I don't need to plug that in. Well, guess what? It's actually for the pump. Oops. These things happen. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you learn. So you just gotta hold these two down until you see the diesel go up into the pump and then maybe out the other side, and then you know it's flooded. And here we go. Ooh, 15 amps. That's 15 amps going through this tiny little wire, keep that in mind. She's running now. Let's know the difference. Woohoo! Finally it works! Oh yeah, nice and warm. It's pretty loud. To give you guys a comparison of how hot it is. I'm going to stick this in the intake side. And it's like 24, 23 coming into there. Now I'll bring my little hair to the heat side. 80 degrees. Isn't that nice and warm? Now we'll try what's coming out of the exhaust. Ooh, yeah, she's a hottie. That's on medium setting. So now we're slowing down. We'll see what it pulls. So this is on the lowest setting, 1 amp, 1.3, wow. I want to try and tap into my fuel tank. I've got a nice big hole right here somewhere. I'll be able to access the fuel pump and mount my little pickup. The really good thing about these diesel heaters is that it brings out a really dry heat. If you wanted to dry some clothes, you just whack this heater on and hang your clothes up. Make sure you do let it go through its turn off cycle. If you were to just disconnect the power, there would still be unburnt diesel inside this machine. I don't know if I can tap into those fuel lines. As I was tapping away, the rest of my floor started to come undone. I think it's done. Here's one piece. Missed it by that much. Oh, that was hard to put that thing on without moving this. It's been an adventure. This is currently what I got going on. This is drying. I want to leave it for at least 12 hours before I put it back in there because there is Sikaflex on the inside, and the way this stuff dries is through exposure to moisture. Once it's done, I'm going to put that floor back in with a little bit of liquid nails. It is now the next day and I've given it a good amount of time for this to cure. And have a look at this. Nice and hard. Ooh, yeah. It's nice and solid. I now have an access into my fuel. We have a problem. That ring is not going to sit flat because of the metal of the top of that plate. Damn it, more problems. It can now sit flush. How good is that? Thanks, little Dremel. Finally in. Oh, that was hard. This is my van, and my heater is going to go right here with the exhaust and everything plumbed into the floor, into the tank, and then the exhaust is going to go out the back. Alright, we have a location. Pilot hole. I'm going to put a little bit of this underneath. Hopefully that'll prevent the rust. It gets to around 150 degrees, so I'm going to pack it in with this stuff. So I'm going to try and neaten this up without hurting my finger. A little trick you can do is put a little bit of Windex on your finger. So I've got a nice little seal of silicone, and that's going to protect the wood. You want to try and prime this manually because you don't want to wear out this little pump. If that thing has no diesel in it, it's got to pull it all the way through this. That's what you got to do. I thought you guys might be wondering where I do these things. So at the moment I'm at Charlestown in a car park that's relatively flat. This is how I've installed it. The pump is orientated the correct way. This is already primed and full of diesel. Obviously all of this diesel line is going to be protected with a bit of conduit when I finally get around to it. And the line goes all the way back that way. I'm not going to show you because it's really gross to crawl on this gross ground. Oh. So yeah, that's done. So I got my pipe and I'm going to fit it over the outside of the fuel line. And this is just to prevent vibrations wearing through the fuel line underneath the van. I'm pretty sure that all you gotta do is pass it through there, if it'll fit, and then place that back onto here. And you've got a connection to your pump. Remember that little silencer? Well, this is modified quite a bit. Wow, I think I trust this one way more than the hose clamp. That's really tight. That's not going anywhere. That's really tight. Just a really thin layer. So we'll slide her in. And I'm happy with that. It looks good underneath. So that's all screwed down. And now we have to fix up underneath here. Keep in mind when mounting this is it needs to be mounted upright like this, because there's a little hole and that's for all the moisture and the diesel to seep out. Wow. Oh, it's getting late. Well, it's only 5:30. Alright. Oh, this is quite literally how much we're falling short by. There's the terminal to plug it into, and that's the clip. That's as close as I can get it. So we're gonna have to extend that. I am so close to being done. The only thing that's left to do is to wire her up to 12 volts. And the good thing is I've got 12 volts running just underneath the bed frame here. Basically all that's left to do is connect this with this. Priming is probably important. Hold these two buttons down. Oh, it's not detecting any voltage. Well, we're apparently at 12.5. I've got 12.6 inside the harness. And when I connect it up, I just get this. And I can't like prime the pump, I can't turn it on. If I twist it a bit, it detects 12 volts. And then it loses it. So I gained permission from the seller to open her up, and the blue cable has come loose. So I'm going to solder that up and she'll be good to go. It's back together. That little blue cable is soldered on. Now we can plug her in. 12 volts. Yes. Turn her on. Medium. And it's going. I'll try and make it look a bit better, but at least it's stuck down. And now I've got the remote on like a little magnet. And I just hit this button and it turns on. And there it goes. That's my heater done. I might get another muffler because 2 silencers is better than 1. I also might lag the exhaust and that'll take out some of the resonance, hopefully. It's pretty noisy. Like, it's a bit of a giveaway that I'm in here. I'll give you a listen of the little pump here. Here's the exhaust firing up. If I close the van door, the only thing I can hear is the little heater. And obviously I'm going to have it on low. I've got my little vent up there. I might get a monoxide sensor. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I had a lot of fun installing it. Bye for now.